Hey guys, Noel here, and it is Saturday night, and while the wife and baby are asleep, I thought it would be fun to do a video game review for the video game review section of the YouTube channel. And if you recognize this music, we're either going to be reviewing the opening logo to Metal Gear Solid or Hideo Kojima's follow-up to Snatcher, Policenauts. This is not an official copy of Policenauts because it was never sold in the United States and was never translated into English officially, but there is a fan translation and you can buy an unofficial copy made very well off of Etsy with the purchase of a pseudo Saturn, which is basically a code action replay with some programs on it that let you play burned games and import games for your Sega Saturn. So go on Etsy and get Policenauts and a pseudo Saturn, and I'm going to tell you why you should do that right now. If you don't know, Policenauts is a Hideo Kojima game, and while Snatcher, its spiritual predecessor, so to speak, takes a lot of its inspiration from the cyberpunk genre and the movie Blade Runner, Policenauts takes more of its aesthetic inspiration from Lethal Weapon, while telling a very philosophical, cerebral, and well-researched story that takes place in a space colony. So essentially, your character looks an awful lot like Mel Gibson, drawn by the character designer of Gundam 0083. That is just as good as it sounds. And you are a bit of a hard-boiled detective existing in 2040 Los Angeles on Earth. And certain events happen that will cause you to go into space, encounter your old partner, who looks a lot like Danny Glover, drawn by the character designer of Gundam 0083, which again is just as good as it sounds, and lots of stuff unfolds. And this right here you're seeing is the trailer that plays for Policenauts at the start of your game. This is basically what happens when you don't hit start. You get to watch this very cool trailer here, and once you beat the game, you will get some bonus features where you not only get to look at this trailer, but also look at the trailer for the 3DO, because Policenauts, before it came to the Sega Saturn, was released on a gaming computer called the PC-98, much like Snatcher. It had a PC version before it had a console version. And then it was ported to the 3DO, the PlayStation, and I believe finally the Sega Saturn, which I believe is the best version of this game. I believe the Saturn version has the most bonus content. So, similar to the Sega CD version, Sega has gotten the best versions of these games, at least in my opinion. And this game, again, like Snatcher, is a text-based game. Snatcher is a more linear game. Policenauts is very much a point-and-click game with a very well-researched, tech-heavy story that can lead you to get, at worst, bogged down in a lot of detail that might not be important to the story, but it's interesting. So if you're playing this game at 11 o'clock at night and you're reading about bone marrow transplants in outer space, you may need to have a cup of coffee with you, but it's still interesting to read. So there's that. But again, Policenauts has fantastic anime cutscenes done with the cell animation that you're seeing right now. And the next generation of Snatcher. Policenauts mean a lot to me. Space holds many secrets. And it's true, because what you're going to end up encountering is criminal activity that has made its way to institutional levels that are designed to address people's psychological and health needs in space, ends up having some pretty ghoulish results, and you're going to have to tackle those things as you try to bring resolution to your life in Policenauts. So I think what we're going to do right now is I will show you guys some gameplay via the introduction of Spacenauts. Then I would ideally like to show you some shooting and at least one of the bonus features, because like Snatcher, the action sequences are basically kind of like Duck Hunt. You can either do them with your controller or with a light gun for the Sega Saturn. And now our feature presentation, Policenauts. Enjoy the show. So, like Snatcher, you're going to get a very, very well-made opening that basically shows urban sprawl in the future. But before we get that, we're going to get some backstory here. So this is actually the backstory of the literal Policenauts. They are astronauts with police authority in space, chosen from the best cops on Earth. Astronauts with police authority. We were called the Policenauts. So the character that you're going to play as is floating around in that spacesuit right there. And conveniently, you'll notice he has something that looks like Haro from Gundam attached to him. And that's going to end up saving your life shortly, as we see what's going to happen right here. Now, if you're a fan of Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation, you're definitely going to want to play this game, because there are certain aesthetic and plot things in this game that end up getting reused in Metal Gear Solid, and the character Meryl from Metal Gear Solid first appears in Policenauts, and she has a quite significant role in Policenauts. She's a really cool character in this game. Again, with this game you get a really nice mix of hand-drawn cell animation from AIC, done by the character designer of Gundam 0083. His artwork also is beautifully colored digitally, which looks amazing on the Sega Saturn, and it looks even better on a high-quality video monitor, computer monitor, like we're playing this on right now. And intertwined with all of this is very nice 32-bit 3D graphics, so this game visually is breathtaking. There's no other way to put it. Now, while this game is slower paced than Snatcher, it is very rewarding when you stick with the plot. When you stick with the story and the plot starts to pick up. And this theme alone is worth buying the game for. So this is Los Angeles in the future. So, unlike Snatcher, this game has an animated opening sequence done with cell animation, whereas Snatcher's was done doing the Sega Saturn's digital, not Sega Saturn, so the Sega CD's digitized coloring and whatnot. I've recently been falling asleep to this song, and I haven't had any bad dreams, which is good. Not that I have a lot of those. Although teaching can certainly give you your fair share. Wake up in the middle of the night screaming that I don't have any lesson plans done. And there's your character, Jonathan Ingram, and like all cool 80s cops, he has a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. I don't recommend smoking, but if you're going to be an 80s cop, there's no way to look cooler. So. Alright, so here's going to be a little bit of gameplay right here. This is the prologue here. I'm going to show you guys basically a sample of what this game is going to be like here. The prologue is called Home, which is what Earth is called, because some people live on space colonies. Well, not space colonies, a space colony. It's actually going to come up in the game. So, like in Metal Gear Solid, you'll actually see the character's name and their voice actor. Okay, so what we're going to see here is a good example of the point-and-click system of the game. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to observe the screen that you're on. You're going to be given a cursor, you're going to click on certain things, you're going to investigate certain things. And as you do that, that's going to drive the plot further and new information will open up. Now, again, this is a very well-researched game, and Hideo Kojima, as you know, has a, big imagination and the ability to write quite a bit. So just by clicking on these cigarettes, I'm going to get a whole bunch of information about potentially what cigarettes in the future will be like. And this is going to go on for about 2 pages. So these are Muslims, the only cigarettes in the world that still give off secondary smoke. I don't like the pure bent cigarettes you get today. These are mixed cigarettes, part conventional, part bent. Bent cigarettes are cigarettes that don't produce any secondary smoke, which you light simply by breaking off the end. That's not the end of it. I say light, quote, but there's no actual fire involved. They work off a chemical reaction, and then even the leaves are specially processed. They don't give off any smoke or ash and make a room more pleasant, but they're not my thing. The only brand I touch now is Muslims. Alright, so there we go. There's a whole bunch about the character's cigarettes, which is cool, it's the good stuff. Now, I'm just for the sake of being quick, going to click on something that will cause a scene to unfold here. You click on it, you hit look, and here we go. This is a photo of me and Lorraine at Lucas World.
Lorraine, 俺のワイフ。いや、それも過去のことだ。俺があの事故を起こした後、ビヨンドで再婚したらしい。今では他人のワイフだ。日本人とアメリカ人との2世。あいつにはどこか神秘的なところがあった。
And again, you will literally just point and click more and more stuff will happening. So I go and click on Lorraine. Lorraine was a student at UCLA. We met at her place. We met after her place got broken into. And I can look at myself here. I was a cop, fresh out of the academy. Okay, so I'm going to hit back here. And again, literally, you got to look at everything, even stuff in the background here. Watch me click on this. This is a newspaper, and again, you're going to see things that you're going to have to click on in the background to cause the plot to unfold. So, again, this is a good sample of what the normal, typical gameplay in Policenauts is going to be like. you will trigger cutscenes the further you push into and the more you discover. But for the sake of this review, let us quit, and I want to show you guys a shooting sequence here. This is probably going to make it so that I have to reboot my Sega Saturn, so yeah. Turn off the Sega Saturn by pressing the power buttons. I'm going to reset this, and I'll show you how the pseudo Saturn looks when it starts, because you're going to need one of those to play this game. Unless you're Japanese and have a Japanese Sega Saturn, and then just play it in Japanese. So pseudo Saturn, hit start, and all you got to do to get the pseudo Saturn to work is just pop it in the cartridge slot in your Sega Saturn. It's easy peasy. So Sega Saturn's just loading a little bit. We'll skip the... Actually, let's watch the Konami logo. It's very charming. Okay. Alright, here we go. I'm going to do a shooting sequence here. The shooting mode is really cool. You basically get to just play through the action scenes of the game. So I'm going to play through the first action sequence here. There's Jonathan and Ed right there. These are the two main characters of the game. Well, actually, this is you, and then he's your partner. So again, buddy cop drama in space. It is amazing. Okay, so here we go. Okay. So, here we go. So, you can see me aiming the gun with my controller. A is shoot, and C is reload. So, just keep an eye on where he's at. And I recommend reloading after every couple shots here. You get infinite ammo, which is great. Oh no, a street sweeper. These look like feet that are his. He's using human shields here. Oof. Gotta reload here. Okay, I got him. So he ran off, and then in the game, this would trigger another scene where I would have to investigate an alley with the point-and-click system. But because this is a review on YouTube, we're going to leave it at that, go back to the title menu, and I'm going to show you guys some of the bonus feature content here. Actually, I'm just going to show you one thing here, and that is the voice actress for Karen, who is going to be a very important character in this game. She's going to tell you a message from the fine people at the Policenauts team. Incidentally, my only real complaint about this game is that if you're looking to quickly plow through the game, the amount of information in this game that you will have to read through will make that difficult. But that's not really a bad thing, because this is a sequel to Snatcher, so to speak, spiritually, not in terms of storyline. And making more rich content for you to explore is not a bad thing. The makers of this game should be credited for that. The ending of this game is satisfying, but I was slightly disappointed with certain things, like certain characters not getting together and certain characters that go certain places. I'm not going to try to spoil things too much, but I would have maybe had the characters stick a little closer together, but then even then there's some stuff on the ending that keeps it kind of vague. So here's Kiko Unoue. She is the voice actress of the character of Karen, and she's going to deliver a nice message for you to hear.
本当に楽しい作品になっていると思います。実を言うとアフレコをなんと6日間もかけて撮ったんですね。こんなこと私は本当に初めてで台本もすごく奥が深くてとっても面白い作品です。ぜひ楽しんでみてください。
All right. I cannot recommend Policenauts highly enough. You need to get this game, play this game, and enjoy this game. Very engrossing, text-based, 80s style cop movie, sci-fi cerebral drama made by the brilliant mind of Hideo Kojima. Until next time, guys, my name is Noel. I will see you all later, and again, play Policenauts. Bye-bye.